Good evening! Hello, hello. How's it going, livestock? What's up? A swirl, hello Oscar, hello Guardian. Hello any lurkers. I hope you're well. Welcome to day 22 of my 3.0 donathon. As always, currently I am working towards funding my 3.0 model. I would really like to get the ball rolling again, guys. I don't like getting too like needy about it, but it has been a little bit since we got a donation, and I'd really like to hit the next goal. That would be wonderful. Just putting that out there. Also because then I can not only pay my new mama, but also so I can afford more books, so I can read more than just the book we're talking about today. Anyway, welcome. I hope you're all well. Hello, Smooper. So today, we're gonna try something a little different. If you find me through searches on YouTube somehow and you're in book talk and you're like, why the fuck is this anime thing talking to me? Hello, you're probably not so different, you and I. Just like ignore the VTuber model. But I basically, a little bit of backstory. I studied writing at university, and oh, why am I lagging so much today? What the hell is up with VTube? Hello, VTube Studio. I don't know why I keep doing that. A bit concerned. Hope we won't have to go PNG. But I did an English literature degree. I was an avid reader. I did it all the time, and then when I went to university and they were like, you need to read this, in my little pea brain was like, yeah, I don't want to anymore. And I got very, very burnt out on reading, and I started to miss it a lot. And I was like, I need to read more, especially as a writer. But it just became, it went from a passion that I loved and did all the time to a real chore. And so I hadn't read in a real long time, and I felt very guilty about it. And I have for years, and I tried getting back into reading a million times, like, and I just like, nah, I couldn't. I was just like, there was just something, my passion for it had gone. I was very sad. But when the new year rolled around, I was like, that's it. I am going to start reading again. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I decided to download Kindle on my phone, which was the best option. Please get an ebook reader. The reason for it is because I feel like a lot of people, particularly a lot of, I'll get to this, but a lot of VTubers were all like, I hate reading. We spend hours on our phones every day just doom scrolling, reading a million tweets that make us sad. So I was like, you know what? Every time I want to open my phone to doom scroll, I'm going to force myself to open Kindle and read instead. Even if I only read a page. It doesn't matter what, I'm going to read a book instead. And it was a fantastic idea. So please guys, you can take one thing away. So I started the year reading just a random book that was some sort of crappy mafia romance. I don't know what's with all like the dark romances. I don't know why. That one I knew why. It's because I was familiar with the writer who did it. I don't really think that I couldn't finish it. It was pretty bad. So we're not going to talk about that one. I'm not going to name it. But it got me into reading. It got me to start. I felt motivated. So then I was like, all right, I have to actually look for something that I want to read. And at first I tried to do a VTuber book club. I was like, I'm going to, yes, Mum, it's this book, you know this cover. I'll tell you why Mumbo knows the cover. So basically, I asked some VTubers, hey, I really want to do a VTuber book club where we all pick a book and read it in a month. And like 2 people said yes. I needed more people than that for it. But all of the VTubers were like, I hate reading. And I was like, you people are so sad. Come on, we're doing this. Let's get motivated. Let's read and love reading. And this is a very, the hell is the song? I'm gonna turn my background music a bit. If it's, let me know if the background music is now too quiet, but it was just screaming at me. This is not gonna be, this is, by the way, this is more of a rant review. This is just me talking about it. Anyway, I was like, I've got to find something to read. So about 2 weeks ago, I was out in town with my good friend who's in chat on the Twitch side, Mumbo. Reading VTubing is a unique mix. Well, I think all VTubers should read. We're all just fantasy characters anyway. We were out in town because we're buddies, IRL, and we go out for brunch every weekend with another IRL friend of ours. And after brunch, we decided to go for a wander, and we went into Whitkall's, which, if you're not in New Zealand, that's basically like our equivalent of Barnes & Noble or Waterstones. It's just like a chain book store retailer. And we were just wandering around looking at shit. And I was like, okay, I've started reading. Maybe I could find something to read. And I went to one section and I saw this cover and I thought it looked, which is the one beside me, and I think it was because it had bright pink on it, I'm not gonna lie. It looked very intriguing. I picked it up and I read the back, and I do have a funny story about it, which I will explain. But I was like, you know what? This seems a little bit trashy, but I'm kind of intrigued. So I'm going to read it. I did not buy the full cover, because the full version, because I already had Kindle, and honestly just ebooks are cheaper. So when I went home after hanging out with Mumbo, I just bought the ebook and I read it on my phone, and I got it finished in about a week. And I was like, you know what? I want to talk about this because it's kind of gotten me back into reading. Does that mean that it's an amazing book and I love it? I have been talking about this, if you've been watching. I've been talking about it as I've been reading it. So this is not total spoilers for everyone, but I am going to start from the beginning. So this is what I picked up, and it is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. And I have a lot to say on it, and I'm going to go right here. Not all of it is good. I finished it more than the other book I started at the beginning of the year that I dropped. Does that mean I think this is a good book? I have a lot to say on it, and honestly, I'm kind of torn. So I'm going to talk about it today, and if this goes well and you guys enjoy me just ranting about a book for like an hour, maybe I'll turn this into like a full series and I'll try and get through more books and I'll just chat about them. I may edit them to like more condensed reviews, cutting out all of the dead air that streams come with. I don't know, maybe I thought butchery book reviews sounded fun, so I was like, let's do a little pilot episode. So I'm gonna talk about this book, and we're gonna have a yap about reading, because I want more VTubers to read, and then maybe I can do my dream of having a book club. Sounds fun. Honestly, I thought this would be a VTuber live reading session with narration of voices. Unfortunately, I cannot do that as a VTuber because books, much like movies, are technically copyrighted material unless they are in the public domain. This book is still in circulation for publication. Punk 57 was published in 2018, I'm pretty sure. Again, I did not know that when I picked it up. I went into this blind, and we're going to get into that. Completely blind. I'd never heard of the author before. I actually think I hadn't, and I went and looked at her, her you know, repertoire, her backlog, but what do you call it, I was gonna say her discography. That's not it, that's for a musician. Like what she'd written before. I have actually seen one of her books around, but we'll get to that. But no, unfortunately this is not me reading the book. I actually can't have the book physically here because I have to use my phone that I have my copy on my model, so I just took notes. Bibliography, that's the word, thank you, Oscar. I couldn't think of the word. This is gonna go well. Okay, so I picked up Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I did not know when I started that this is considered a quote-unquote book talk book. All I did was I read the back and thought it sounded interesting. So this is a... Penelope Douglas, from what I've understood from reading about... I wanted to go in blind, so I didn't do any reading on the author or anything going into this. At least until I was pretty far through the book. I went in literally didn't know anything about her work prior. I didn't know if this was a debut novel. I didn't know if this book had horrible reviews. I didn't know if it had fantastic reviews. I just read the blurb and thought it sounded interesting. It is a... When I read about Penelope's work, it seems that she's mostly like a dark romance author. I wouldn't exactly call this dark. It's not for children. Absolutely not. We'll get into that. It feels... This is one thing that I think is a little bit odd about the book, is that I guess it feels kind of like a YA novel, but it's absolutely not a YA novel, and again, we'll get to that. I said it was popular on Book Talk, and if you know anything, you probably understand, you know, there's a certain genre that is popular on Book Talk, and it is that genre. But basically, it is sort of just like a gritty... I guess high school romance. They are in high school, but they're both 18. I need to clarify that again. I am going to talk about that stuff. But the premise of this book is that there are two main characters, and it is in first person. Two main characters. Their names are Misha Lar and Ryan Trevorrow. And so when they were children in school, obviously Misha is a decidedly quite feminine name and Ryan is a decidedly quite masculine name, and they're from two neighboring towns. Misha is from a town called Thunder Bay. Hey, rattlers. I am not a rat, excuse me. I am a sheep. How dare you? But hello, welcome in. Misha is from a town called Thunder Bay, and Ryan is from a town called Falcon's Well. So the towns are about a half-hour drive from each other, maybe like an hour drive. And when they were in school, their teachers had an assignment in each class where everyone was paired up with a student from a class from... I'm explaining this really bad. A student from the class of the other school. And they were supposed to be paired up with someone of the same gender because they were kids. But obviously Ryan's teacher saw Misha's name and thought, oh, Misha's a girl, so obviously I'm going to pair him up with Ryan because Ryan's teacher knew Ryan was a girl, and vice versa. Misha's teacher read the name Ryan and thought Ryan's a dude's name, so I'm going to pair Misha up with Ryan, thinking, oh, I thought you were a goat. No, I'm a sheep. Meh. No, I'm not a goat. How dare you? Get out of my chat. No kidding. You can stay. So Misha's teacher thought Ryan was a boy, and obviously they knew Misha was a dude. So they were like, okay, yeah, I'm pairing Misha up with a guy. No, Misha is a dude guy and Ryan is a girl. When I read the back of this book, I was stupid, and I thank you for the follow, Ray. Thank you for becoming livestock. I was stupid, and I thought the way it was, the blurb on the back was written when I picked it up in Witkles. I thought Misha was also a girl. I thought I was going to get some sort of like toxic Yuri romance. And I was like, oh no, Misha's a dude. So, as the kids call it, this is a bit of het slop. I do not care. I do not give a shit. I will read anything. I do not care what you like. But I do not care what Misha and Ryan like. It's fine. But thought I'd throw that out there. I thought I was, when I briefly read the back before going home and downloading the ebook, I thought I was getting lesbians, and I did not get lesbians, and I was a little bit let down, but it's fine. I do not mind me some het slop. So basically, they got signed up for this assignment when they were children, and the two of them ended up hitting it off so well that after the assignment ended with their little pen pal, they continued to write each other for like 7 years. Every week, basically, Ryan would write a letter to Misha, and Misha would write her back. And they became essentially best friends, even though they had never seen each other's faces. They knew each other's real names. They did exchange that because I think it was part of the assignment. And they said they made a few rules between themselves where they would not look each other up on social media, and they would never, like, at least while they were in school, I guess, never actively go out of their way to find each other. But they were obviously not against meeting if the moment called for it. So that's what happens. In the first chapter of the book, as I said, it's told from both point of views. It switches between Misha and Ryan. It's definitely probably more in Ryan's. I wouldn't say it's like a 50-50. But it opens with Misha, and Misha is, obviously this book talks that he's like a tattooed bad boy who's in a band. Cause that's what, I'm weak. That's sort of what I'm attracted to. So, you know what, like, I can't really, like, complain. But yeah, Misha's one of those types. I'll get to characters in a sec. In the first chapter, Misha's band are holding a concert event to fund money for them to go on tour that following summer. But at the party, he ends up running into Ryan, and due to events, he figures out that it's Ryan pretty quickly. He hears someone call her Ryan, and there's little signs, and so he breaks the rule and looks her up on Instagram. And he's like, fuck, this is Ryan. And it's very complicated for him, because the first thing he thinks is, shit, she's really hot. Which I thought was kind of funny. But he also sort of decides, and we'll get to this, he's like, I don't think I like her very much, actually. He doesn't really vibe with her like he thought he did in the letters. He kind of felt like she lied about herself. And we'll get to my thoughts on this. So he's sort of like, they have kind of a flirty exchange, and what's really important is that Ryan does not know this is Misha when she meets him. She's just met a random guy at a party. They like take a photo together because of something going on with the scavenger hunt and insistence from a friend of Ryan's. We will also get to Ryan's friends. Oh, I have some thoughts. I have some soapboxy thoughts about Ryan's friends. So she doesn't figure out this is Misha. She just thinks it's some random dude. They've gone to this random, like, concert in the middle of nowhere. It's very strange. But then, I guess this is not a spoiler, it's literally in the first chapter. What's important to note is that Misha has a sister who is 1 year younger than him, called Annie. And Misha's kind of the black sheep of his family. He's kind of a bad boy, and he's in a band, and he's like, doesn't get along with his dad very well. His mum's not in the picture. But Annie really tries. She's a very hard worker. She's like a valedictorian. She is, I think that's what they call it in the States. You know, she's an athlete. She's a good girl. But at the end of chapter 1, Annie passes away in a sort of freak accident. And this obviously flips Misha's world around because he adores his younger sister. And he stops writing Ryan because the same night he meets her, he loses his sister, and everything just feels very fucked up for Misha, and he kind of pulls the plug and he's like, nah, fuck this, I'm out. And he disappears. He kind of goes off the radar. So it cuts to Ryan, and she's like, I haven't heard from my best friend Misha, who I write and knows everything about me. He's just completely ghosted me. And she's obviously really hurt and confused. And she does think the thing is, they do know each other's addresses because they've been sending letters to each other. And she does consider, maybe I should drive to Thunder Bay and go to his house and see if I can find Misha, because I'm really worried about him, but it feels wrong and I'm a bit shy and it's a bit weird, and she decides against it. And then we get a snapshot into Ryan's point of view, and I'm just going to stay here. We're going to put characters. I don't like Ryan. I did not like her as a character. I found her very, very insufferable. I think she's kind of a biatch. But I did read the author's note at the end, and I realized that kind of was Douglas's intention. She knew when she published this, she was like, Ryan is going to be a very polarizing character. And I don't think all female characters need to be digestible. So I was trying to be soft, but God, Ryan is really hard to like. I'm sorry. She's not like nippy and like a badass way. She's just kind of a cow. I'm sorry, I sound really awful, but she's just kind of miserable. And then again, I understand that's kind of the point. Like, Misha calls her out on it. All of her friends that she is, quote unquote, I'm using on VTube, but I'm doing air quotes, all of her friends that she gets around with at school are horrible people. And she knows that, and she hates all of them, but she hangs around them anyway. And the reason is because as you read, you understand Ryan is, to be fair, she's kind of a rare, at least from what I understand, for like a book like this, a weird female kind of protagonist, because usually in these, if it's like a romantic, I'm being very broad, there are all kinds of female characters, but Ryan is your prissy, bitchy, popular girl. She is a cheerleader. She is... My other monitor's acting very weird, I'm so sorry. She is a cheerleader. She hangs around with the quote-unquote popular crowd. She's kind of she's a bully, to be honest. She's not a nice person. Ryan is not a nice person. And essentially this is what bothers Misha when he meets her, because he reads this immediately, where he's like, I assumed in your letters you were like this really nice kind of interesting sounds so awful, but he just thinks she's very, I don't want to use the word superficial, but she's definitely like, she's not a good person. I honestly am going to say I think Ryan is quite interesting the more you read, but I find her very difficult, because it's just, you get annoyed with everything she does, because you're like, her best friend in the book is named Lila. Lila is horrid. Lila has no redeeming qualities, and that's the whole point. She is a two-dimensional, she's just there to be a horrible bitch, and like there's no reason. And this is a big thing I'll get to, but I have an issue with the female characters in this book. I'm gonna get on my feminist soapbox in a minute. So essentially, after weeks of not writing her, you know, his sister's dead, his life's turned upside down, Misha disappears, and Ryan doesn't know any of this, because she doesn't know that his sister's passed away. She just thinks Misha's up and left. Then one day, this new kid starts in her class, like 6 weeks before they're meant to graduate. He walks in, a boy by the name of Mason Lauren, who is obviously Misha. He shows up at her school. He just transfers in, but he's going by a different name. So Ryan doesn't know this is Misha. She eventually recognizes, oh shit, this is the boy from the party that I like had that exchange with. I remember his face now, because he has a lip ring and everything. She remembers it, but she doesn't know that this is Misha. And immediately as he gets there and transfers into her high school at Falconswell, he's just kind of horrible to her. They hate each other. Like, he calls her out. I think the reason that he decides is ultimately the first time they see each other in school, they're in art class, and she's sitting there with her kind of not boyfriend, but there's a character called Trey, and he is the sort of popular jock, and everyone's like, well, obviously, stereotypes, Ryan and him probably should date, and Trey is a complete tool, and he's genuinely probably the worst person in the entire book. I don't like Trey, but you're not supposed to like Trey. He's very one-dimensional. And he's kind of a perv, and Ryan clearly doesn't like him, but she's like, well, I like being accepted, so I guess I'll like go to prom with him. Like, she just sort of accepts that she's in this circle of people who are quote-unquote popular, but she hates all of them, but she likes the security of it. And there is a lot to it about, you find out like why, but I don't think it justifies how Ryan acts. Her insecurities kind of got to her, and so she changed herself completely. I don't think it justifies it. Just because you were like an unpopular, like, nobody when you were in primary school doesn't really give you the right to be admittedly a bully, and she kind of is. There's one character in the story called Manny, who's kind of this awkward, emo kid who's obviously very quiet and has issues, and essentially, like, Trey, in this first chapter where her and Misha, or Mason, he comes into her class, Manny's sitting there, and Trey is just a bully. He like flings like homophobic slurs at Manny. He's just awful. They just treat him horribly. Ryan just does nothing. She's basically she's more than complicit with it. And the thing is that she's like, in her internal narration, because this is in her point of view, she's like, I don't have anything against Manny. I like Manny, but I also like essentially where I am in the hierarchy. And if I defend him, people are gonna think I'm a freak or whatever. You can probably understand why I don't like Ryan very much. And obviously, Misha sees this after all this time of thinking that Ryan is kind of not like other girls. We'll get to Misha. He's just like, I hate you. I'm so confused. You're nothing like you were in the letters. And he gets really frustrated. And essentially, they have this weird exchange later on in the lunchroom. And it's kind of uncomfortable. Again, these book talk books have a weird... I'm not going to go as far as to say it's like assault, because it wasn't. I don't want to make it seem like that. Misha's not that bad. It's just like... I'm too woke to think that it was romantic or sexy. I just thought it was kind of weird. And these two, yeah, they start to hate each other. And it's almost like a weird rivalry. I would describe this book as friends to enemies to lovers. But Misha comes in and stirs things up. I will say, jumping around a bit, there is a very, very cool twist at the end of the book about why Misha comes to her school in like the last 6 weeks before they graduate. Because you think, is he being a weirdo creep and is like stalking Ryan? No, it actually had nothing to do with Ryan. And he makes that clear. In the book, he doesn't, even when you're in his point of view, it doesn't tell you why. He says like, I know it's weird, but I'm not here for Ryan. I knew I'd run into her, but that was just kind of a sacrifice I had to make. Like, it was just a byproduct of it. And the twist about why is actually pretty good. It was actually one of my favorite aspects when they reveal why he's in Falcon's Well. Anyway, how are we following it so far, guys? Just word vomiting what I read and what I wrote down. So yeah, I don't like Ryan. First of all, I found her insufferable and I didn't really empathize with her. Also, you're probably wondering about the title, Punk 57. So Punk is actually because while all this is going on with Ryan dealing with this boy who's suddenly treating her really strange at school right before they graduate and being very confused, their school has been attacked by a graffiti artist who goes by Punk, who's writing weird truths on the lockers or in the gym and on the walls. And they seem to be kind of airing people's dirty laundry, but not exactly, in like kind of a vague way, but they are. And everyone is very intrigued by this Punk, mysterious sort of, it's almost like a Banksy character, I guess, in their high school. So that's the whole thing. I won't spoil the reveal of that. It actually is surprisingly pretty early in the book who Punk is. And it was alright, I guess. I honestly didn't really care about the Punk part. But as for Misha, I am mixed on Misha. I liked Misha more than I liked Ryan, but I still didn't really like Misha. One, again, he starts off when he gets to the school towards Ryan. Some of it is just, again, the romanticization of some things book talk put forward. Lulu no likey, but he wasn't as bad as some male love interests. I definitely thought Misha had a little bit more niceness to him.
However, my issue with Misha is that he feels like he was looking for his manic pixie dream girl, and when he didn't get her, when she didn't fit the exact bubble of what he'd built up in his head all these years, he like flipped his shit and decided he hated her. And I thought that was really unfair to Ryan. I was like, I get it, you felt like she kind of lied in her letters because you kind of, for lack of a better term, I feel like he was kind of expecting to get like his like I'm not like other girls girl. Like, I think the big one was that he was kind of upset when he found her really attractive, because I think he didn't really want that. He wanted someone maybe a bit mouthier, but he's like, oh, she's like really, like, Ryan is described as being very like stereotypically attractive. Like, she's supposed to be a beautiful girl, and that kind of, in a weird way, kind of bothers him because it makes it more complicated for him. By the way, Misha's also described, he's a booktub boy. Misha's also described as like, oh, he has like a lip ring and tattoos and shit. Like, come on, you know, they gotta do that shit. You know, yeah, but also I feel like Misha has a lot more of a reason to be a bit more of a stinker because he's just lost his sister, and as much as I think that he's a little bit unfair to Ryan, and it is weird that he never tells her he's Misha, he's using a fake name. And again, there is a reason he's not going by his real name, Misha Lauer, when he's at school, at Ryan's school. And it doesn't have to do with him hiding his identity from Ryan. When he meets her, he like kind of thinks about telling her, but he's like, no, I can't yet. And you do get why as you read, but it is kind of frustrating where like, it'll flick back to Ryan's point of view and she's like, I really miss Misha. I wish I knew what happened to Misha. I really like to talk to him about all this, but about this kid who's at school who's treating me really weird and all my friends, and everything's bad. And I'm like, but Misha's right there. So honestly, that kept me reading because I really was like waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was waiting for Misha to reveal that he was Misha. She does eventually figure it out. I guess minor spoiler. She does eventually figure it out, but it's not until after basically starting a relationship with Mason. We'll get to that. Again, Mason is a different person to her. Yeah. The other characters, because we're talking about that. Yeah, Misha overall I did end up liking. I think he had I felt a lot of sympathy for Misha. I was like I went from like, this guy's kind of an asshole to like, I want to protect this precious poor boy. Like not that I thought he was innocent. I didn't love him. I didn't really like him or Ryan, but by the end of it, I found myself quite liking Misha, unlike Ryan, who I only kind of, by the end of the book, I was like, I get where she's coming from, but I still don't particularly like you. I still think everything you did wasn't really justifiable, like the way you treated people. Again, that first bit with Manny, which, to be fair, Misha does call her out on. And I think she does feel bad, but she's so locked up in the safety of her secure, like her popularity. And she's like, just a few more weeks and then I can go to college and forget these people. But we have to talk about the other characters. And most of the characters are like the friends of mostly Ryan, because Misha doesn't have a lot. He has his bandmates from his band, which is called Cypher Core. Stupid name. He has one who's called Dane, who's like a nice guy. I don't know. Dane's not really, he's kind of a non-entity. He's just like a nice dude who's there for Misha while he's essentially squatting. And it's really weird because he doesn't have a home in Falcon's Well because he's left his home in Thunder Bay. So he's squatting in like this underground tunnel underneath a theme park that's near Falcon, like an abandoned theme park. It's very strange. I'm like, you couldn't have found anywhere better than this. I guess he didn't want to be found. That just seems like a really creepy, horrible place to have like a gross mattress to sleep on, but like, fine, do whatever you want, dude. It's very weird. It's a strange, really weird element of the book, but it doesn't really amount to anything apart from it's just, I guess he knew that no one would find him there, but okay. Yeah, Dane is fine. You don't really, the other two band members, I don't even remember their names. I'm so sorry. They were such non-entities. I'm sure they were lovely. The real problem is Ryan's friend group. So she has Lila, 10, Yeah, I think they said it was short for like Theodore, but 10, like the number, Ten, that's his name. I was like, all right, fine. Trey, who's like her kind of not boyfriend, and we'll get to him. JD, who is Lila's boyfriend, who, to be fair, JD wasn't that bad. And there's another one called Caitlin, who wasn't really part of the friend group. She was just kind of like a romantic obstacle for Ryan at like one point, where she like flirted with Misha/Mason, and he kind of uses her to make Ryan jealous, but it lasts for all of like 5 minutes. Like, it's not like he dates her for a portion of the book. It's like one chapter she like flirts with him, and he kind of like pretends something happens, and then Ryan gets upset, and then literally in the middle of the conversation he's like, I was only joking. So that was like, what was the point of that? This is my main problem with this book. Ryan has... There are no positive female characters in this book. And I'm sorry to get on my like feminist rant here, but it really bothered me. Like, I've seen other reviews, because I did read reviews for this after I read it. A lot of other reviewers had the same issue. Ryan, Lila is horrid. Lila is a bully. She actively, you can tell she hates Ryan. They hate each other, but they're like best friends somehow. Lila is just there to be like a one-dimensional succubus, like, bitch. Like, that's why she's there. Lila has zero redeeming qualities. There is not one moment where her and Ryan sit down and you're like, this, like, I was reading it thinking there's surely going to be more to Lila. They're going to reveal something about her, about why she acts. No, Lila, towards the end, Lila is just there to be like an antagonist. She's just mean, and I'm like, okay. That's not wrong in a vacuum. The problem is that there are no other positive characters. So one of the reasons that Misha and Ryan bonded was because both of them were kind of missing a parent in their life. Misha's mother left like a year after his younger sister Annie was born. He has like no memory of her. So it was just him, his sister, and his dad. And I can't remember, admittedly, what had happened to Ryan's father, but he wasn't in the picture either. I don't know if it was a divorce or if he was dead or what, but basically she lives with her mother and her younger sister, Carson. Carson and her don't get along. There's a little bit more to Carson than Lila, because at the end of it, like Ryan and Carson definitely have an antagonistic relationship. They don't get along. But Ryan does admit that, like, part of that is my own fault for not really trying to bond with my sister. It's not that they really give Carson a lot of depth. Like, she's in, like, 4 chapters. But, like, I at least like the fact that, like, Ryan admitted that she's, like, it's not totally because my sister is just, like, a horrible person. It's not necessarily Carson probably has her own shit going on. And the two of them never tried. And I think Ryan's mother is in like 2 chapters. Like, she's just a non-entity. I don't think she's like, I don't really have any relationship with my mum. This is the thing. These are like, again, Ryan has like, the only other female character who was positive, I would argue, was Annie. And Annie dies in the 1st chapter. Minus spoilers, Misha's, I'm not going to talk about why because it will be massive spoilers. Misha's mother does come into it, and it's actually, again, it kind of relates to that, minus spoilers, but the good twist that happens at the end. That was like my favorite element of the book. I would love to talk about it, but I honestly don't want to put too many spoilers. But there is a twist surrounding what happened to Misha's mum and why she left that I really liked. It was actually quite well executed. I did like it. But yeah, this really bothered me. And obviously there is a little bit more intrigue on Misha's side because after his sister dies, he up and leaves. And there is a little bit with Misha's dad, who actually, they do give him a bit of depth, and they do have some moments between him and Misha because the dad is pretty devastated when, I think his dad's name was Matthew, if I remember correctly. There's a lot of M names in this. So Manny and Matthew and Misha also goes by Mason. So it's like, sorry, I'm throwing a lot of M names at you. They give a little bit to the father, and I honestly would have probably liked more exploration of him and Misha's relationship. There's like one really good scene where Misha comes home, like sort of sneaks in to shower and get some other stuff from his home. And he sees his dad who's asleep like by the TV, and they kind of have this exchange, and kind of an exchange. The dad's asleep, but like Misha, I would have liked more from Misha's dad. I felt like there was a lot there. That could have been an entire book on itself, but no, instead we got a book talk romance, which we're going to talk about. I'm going to go on a limb and say I like a good trashy romance. I kind of, as I said, I did finish this book in like a week. Do I necessarily like Ryan and Misha as people? I mean, Misha by the end of it's okay. Ryan I didn't like, but I did kind of find myself rooting for them. Again, I had to kind of switch my brain off at some parts. Because there were parts where I'm like, this is problematic, but I'm too woke for this. But overall, like, I don't know, I thought they were good together in the end. They have some very sweet moments, like, as the book keeps going, and I'm like, and I don't know, maybe I'm a sap at heart. I was like, aww, I don't know. I'm easy to please. I don't know. I don't really ship characters. I've never really been into shipping, but I don't know. I thought there was some nice romantic bits in it, even though for like the first like third of the book, these two kind of want to kill each other. But sometimes it's a bit fun. Obviously though, I do need to talk about it now, and I do have a rule about being over 18 in my chat. If you are not, please leave now, because we are going to talk about it. This is a book talk book. There is smut in this. More than I thought there would be. When I picked it up, I admittedly thought this looks like it's, and like did a brief like dust jacket read. I was like, I think this is probably going to have a bit of spicy stuff in it. I didn't realize how much when I read it. It's there. And he's like, I don't really know how to like review that. How do you do that? The book itself, I haven't really talked about like Penelope's actual writing, the prose and stuff. It's very easy to read. I didn't really find it was like badly written. It's not anything groundbreaking, but like if you just want something that is a very easy, simple to read novel, you could do a lot worse. I definitely think like it's well edited. I think there was like one typo I found where a teacher's name wasn't capitalized, and that might have just been the ebook version. I don't know what it was in the actual print version. But overall, like, I don't know, the descriptions were fine. Like the prose is good. The dialogue is okay, I guess. It's very like, this is serviceable, I think was my thought about it. You know, some books have beautiful, immaculate prose that really blow you away, and really well-woven imagery. I don't know if I'd necessarily say Punk 57 had that, but it wasn't bad either. It wasn't like painful to read. I've read some books that are just like, this feels very amateurish. This was like, okay, yeah, this is someone who can write. So that's my review of that. I don't have much to say. It's easy to read. I'll give it that. However, when it comes to smut, I don't know how to review it, but it's such a like an evident aspect of the book. I feel like I have to talk about it. I don't know. I'm gonna be real, guys. I'm 27, nearly 28. I didn't really want to read about like two 18-year-olds like getting it on. They're adults, so it's fine. There's nothing illegal in this book, which is fine, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't really, okay. Like, I don't know. Like, the thing is that, like, I've read smut before. Like, we all browse AO3, even if we don't admit it. I know you fucking people do, and you're all perverts out there. I'm talking to you. Jim. But, like, it's fine. It's definitely not, like, anything, like, crazy, like, weird fetishes. It's very, I don't know. It's pretty vanilla. It's just, I don't think it, like, what the fuck? Okay, we're assuming this is, like, some sort of creepy lullaby. We're skipping whatever the hell this is, Spotify. I don't have my usual background music on because I thought, like, the sort of choir of my regular custom BGM was a little bit not appropriate, so I just put on some like chill streamer friendly lo-fi. I don't know, again, I don't really know how to review I'm like borderline ace, so it's I don't know, like I'm just like, okay, cool. They're a couple, they have sex. Good. I don't think it took away from anything. There was only one sex scene where I thought it was like, this is kind of dumb. Because the rest of them at least kind of made sense within the plot. Like I was like, this is so hard to talk about this part. I don't know how to like describe, like I don't know what makes good smut. I'm not very good at writing it myself. As a writer, it's definitely a weakness. I guess like the thing is when you're reading smut in like a book like this, the main thing is like, is this reading like kind of like cheesy porn dialogue? I don't think it's like, yeah, as much as stick to AO3, it's always weird for me in published novels books. I don't necessarily think so. I mean, some books are written to be erotica. And this, like, I think it would be more unrealistic if, like, honestly, just, like, given, like, the characters of Misha and Ryan, this sounds really horrible towards them, I'm sorry, like, that they didn't have sex, but I don't know if it necessarily, like, I needed, like, graphic details of what they were doing. I felt like they could have done the whole, like, book, like, fade to black at the end of the chapter thing, and I don't think it would have lost much. Oh, maybe a little bit. I feel like it wasn't necessarily... There was just one sex scene in it that I didn't like, because it felt like it was just there to be smart. Yeah, as long as it serves the plot, it's fine. For the most part, it did. Like, the one in the library I thought was that was decent. There was, like, one after you find out, like, Ryan finds out it's Misha that, like, is kind of like a heat of the moment thing. And I'm like, that's kind of steamy. That's, like, it makes sense. It's, like, high emotions. I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. There was this one, and it was so it almost felt like it was, like, in the wrong place in the book. Like, this chapter was basically just there to be porn, and it very much confused me, because most of the chapters would have other stuff going on that would lead up to the sex scene. This was not the case. This was so weird. So this chapter was in Misha's point of view, and he, again, if you're under 18, I really would like you to leave, because I am going to go into, like, some description. I'm just, you know, putting that out there. I hope if you're watching me, you're over 18, because I kill things, because I'm a butcher. Anyway. He goes to Ryan's house at like 5 a.m. and essentially breaks in and goes into her room, and she's awake in her bed, and she's like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, clearly quite stunned. Bear in mind, again, Ryan lives at home with her mother and sister. They're probably just asleep in their own beds down the hall. And she goes in and she's all kind of embarrassed, and I think from what I remember, Misha like lifts up like the edge of her duvet, and she's like got bare legs, and his first thought is like, she's naked, is there someone in here with her? And she goes, no, I'm not, I'm alone. So like, essentially, again, please be an adult, Ryan was just like jerking off, and then I guess, you know, Misha's amused by this. Women can masturbate, it's fine, that wasn't my issue with it. It was just like, this is like the whole chapter. He just shows up at her house. I don't even think there was a reason for it. It's so out of left field. He just like goes to her house like 5 a.m. in the morning, breaks into her room. I can't remember how, but he did do it before, so... and then he's like, oh, and then it leads to what it would always lead to. Things like that always feel like the author's fetish insert to me. That's kind of what it felt like. Like, I was like, what am I reading? And then, obviously, like, that was probably, I guess because it involves a toy, that one is arguably maybe the least vanilla, but it's still not, like, that bad, to be honest. And then they do it, and then the chapter ends, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And it contributed to, like, nothing. I don't think it's ever brought up again. It's very weird. The rest of them were, like, fine. They made sense where they happened, but it was, like, that one was just, like, what am I reading? What is this? I think I just ended up skimming it. Because I was like, this is just, like, it's not particularly, like, if you want, this might be TMI, I was like, this isn't particularly, like, doing anything for me. like, none of them really did. They were fine, but again, this is why it's weird talking about smut. I'm like, what makes good smut? Is it if it personally turns the reader on? Like, are they using this as porn? This is what I mean, like, I feel like maybe this is what Maddie means, is like, I don't get it if you go to AO3 for it, because most of the time, let's be honest, if you go to AO3 and you're like looking for smut, you kind of just go there for the smut. This had like a plot and like other stuff going on, which was all fine. And I didn't mind that it had smut in it. I'm not opposed to reading that at all. It's just like, that one chapter was really weird. Oh my god, it was so strange. It was, yeah, I don't know. It's symbolic trust. Of what? Of what? Yeah, so that's kind of my thought on the erotica elements of this. It's like, I don't think it really took anything away. I don't think it was bad. It was just kind of there. I have heard, because again, I tried to go into this blind. I knew nothing about Penelope's, you know, bibliography before. She is sort of known as like a dark romance reader. This is pretty light for her. Apparently she's written other stuff that's like a lot more like risky and kind of got some very dubious tropes in it, which is fine. We need to have media literacy. Just because it's in fiction doesn't mean we condone it. I think her most like popular book is one called Credence, which when I saw it, I've seen this cover like in bookshops before. This was a pretty big book. Dubious. Some of them can be a bit like, I think Credence is like, from what I remember of reading the blurb of that one, I haven't read it and I really don't want to, is like a girl moves in with like her dad's best friend and his son, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. That's what I got from something happens and she moves in with them and it's like, oh, okay, great. Yeah, this one is very much like, they are two characters of age and it's pretty vanilla and nothing is really weird. I will say I should give a trigger warning if you are going to read this. There is, again, I've already mentioned the aforementioned, and that first little part with the character of Manny, there are homophobic slurs. If that's something that's upsetting to you, just tread carefully if you're going to read this. Also, towards the end, there was one bit that genuinely made me uncomfortable, and clearly it was supposed to. No spoilers, but essentially a character, thankfully not Misha, essentially threatens Ryan in a very specific way, if you understand what I mean. And it genuinely made me feel like I was like, this is really uncomfortable to read. But that's clearly what it's that one, thankfully. Some books might try and portray that as like sexy. This is not. This is a bad character threatening Ryan with a bad thing, and it is supposed to be. But again, it's still there, so I just want to point it out. It did catch me a little bit off guard. It was genuinely, like, I guess kudos to Penelope. The way it was written was like, this is, nothing happens either. It's just like the pure threat of it, but it is there. I just want to throw it out there. Yeah. Thankfully, Ryan was okay. But, you know, I want to point it out. Yeah. So overall, like, did I like Punk 57? I think I did. I think we're all a little bit ashamed to say if we like these kind of slightly trashy romances, because it did have some, like, stupid elements, and as I said, like, I didn't really like... I grew to really quite like Misha, to be fair. Ryan, I grew to tolerate. Yeah, why is it called Punk 57? Because of in the book, there is a sort of mystery element where their school is being kind of attacked by a anonymous graffiti artist who goes by the name Punk. 57 is the name of a song that Misha writes in his band, and that has like to do with Ryan. Yeah. Because they couldn't make two Punk 56s. Yeah. That's why it's called Punk 57. Yeah. Honestly, like, there are song lyrics written in this that Penelope Douglas wrote for Misha's band. I'm gonna be real, I didn't read them because I didn't care. I just sort of skimmed those parts. I don't know, reading lyrics with no actual music is like, okay. I did, what I read of them was good. I was just like, if I don't know what the song sounds like, I don't care. The 57th entry in the Punk series. that's what's interesting. I did want to bring this up. So I didn't know until the end of the book. So there was this one bit one other kind of weird chapter besides the weird like masturbation chapter. Towards the end of the book where these 3 characters show up and kind of like get Misha out of trouble. And it felt very odd. Like these characters had never, one of them had been mentioned before, but very briefly, and then the other 2 hadn't. And it almost felt like it was from a different book. Because they were. I didn't realize Punk 57 is a spin-off. You can read this standalone. You don't need to have read any of Penelope's other books. This is just meant to be a standalone romance novel. But I didn't realize Misha is the cousin of a character from one of... What was this genre? It's a romance novel, I guess. I keep saying dark romance, but it's like... I don't know. It's not... I think dark romance has like different... This isn't particularly dark. It's like a... It's a gritty romance rather than it being like a fluffy romance. It's a, yeah, I think is a good way of putting it. But it's a romance novel, essentially. It's, if you want to go AO3 about it, I would say it is friends to enemies to lovers. That's how I describe it. And like, slice of life, there's no fantasy elements, there's no supernatural elements, no sci-fi. It's like grounded in reality. It's just about 2 kids who are graduating high school. So, yeah, these 3 characters come and kind of, like, bail Misha out of trouble. And I'm like, who the fuck are these people? It turns out that they are from another series that Douglas wrote called the Devil's Night series. Yeah, a dark romance is when there's a male love interest who's a billionaire CEO mafia vampire. See, I think that's apparently what the Devil's Night is about. Apparently, I don't think he's a vampire or in the mafia, but I think he is, like, a billionaire. Anyway, she wrote another series called The Devil's Night. I have purchased the ebook of the first book in it because the thing is what happens is these 3 characters show up and then they have the Punk 57, I both really like the ending and then I really, really hated the ending. I'll tell you why. Because it kind of has like 2 endings. It has like a regular ending and then it has an epilogue. And the book just did not fucking need the epilogue. I just did not give a shit about the epilogue. It didn't ruin the book, but like it did not need to be there. The epilogue felt like a backdoor pilot for the Devil's Night series, if you know anything about like TV. Basically, the book ends in a very standard way. This, by the way, some people want to know, this book does have a happy ending. Some people worry about that in like a romance. I don't know if that counts as a spoiler, but if that's something... This book has a nice ending, okay? There's like nothing... This has a happy ending. Just putting that out there. Hope that's not a spoiler, but it does have a happy ending. Sometimes I don't trust a lot of books and I was like, Misha's gonna like die in a horrible accident like a sister, right? No, that doesn't happen, thankfully. You need to have the young wide-eyed girl who thinks she can fix him too. As I was saying, yeah, this is a spin-off. So basically there's a last chapter which is like normal and fine and how the book should end. And then there's an epilogue that's set like 5 years later and it just did not need to be there. And there's this character that shows up and has a talk to Ryan called Rika. And I'm like, who the fuck is this Rika character? Rika is the main character of the first book in Devil's Night, which is called Corrupt, which I have purchased and read like the first chapter of. And I'm going to be real, I'm not enjoying it so far, but I've only read 1 chapter, so... I might like put it down and read some books by other writers and other genres. Like, again, I'm a horror girly. I want to read a horror novel next to like a mystery. To be fair, this is kind of a mystery novel, but not in like a traditional, like, they're solving a murder or something. It's not like that. There's just like, there's the mystery of who Punk is and there's the mystery of why Misha is in Falcon's Well. The Punk one, you find out pretty quickly. It's fine. And then the, like, who Punk is and like, why they're doing it. Kimi, hello, thank you for the follow, thank you for becoming livestock. But also there is the, I don't remember what I was talking about. The twist with why Misha is in Falcon's Well, I really liked the outcome of that. I thought that was actually handled really well. Have you read Blood Meridian? I have not. Isn't that like very sad? I could read it if you guys want me to. If you guys want me to do more book review rants, maybe I'll add Blood Meridian to my list. I have a list that my good friends Inkros and Nin gave me that I want to do because I trust their judgment. No Nintendo. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like my voice. That's very sweet. There's a really, really scary guy named Judge Holden in Blood Meridian. Cool name. Yeah. Was it? I going to go back to the Rika character. So this character called Rika shows up, and I was like, why? So basically, yeah, Penelope wrote another series called The Devil's Night. So I do kind of want to read it because apparently, like, Misha and Ryan do show up in it eventually. They make like cameos, and I don't know. I'm intrigued. But I did look at the reviews, unlike Pump 57, I did look at the reviews for Corrupt. Holy shit, people do not like the first book in Devil's Night. Like, they, yeah. People have some words about that book, and honestly, I read the first chapter and I don't care for it. But we'll see. If I finish Corrupt, it might be a book I'm like, I can't do this. But, anyway, yeah, so in conclusion, I don't know what my conclusion to all this is. Do I recommend you read Punk 57? It depends on who you are. I know some people are automatically gonna be like, yeah, character cameos, weird sex scenes, music lyrics, but into fanfiction. It does feel very, like, I do get why something like this feels kind of Wattpad-y, and I'm like, yeah. But I don't know, I feel like we can give it a little more credit than that. I mean, again, I read the entire thing in a week. Like, I was invested. I can't say I wasn't. Do I think this is a good book? In, like, the most... No, I don't. Hola, my name is Dora. Can you... No. The fan fiction. I want to give it like a little more credit than just saying it's fan fiction. It kind of is, but I don't know. Again, I think I enjoyed reading it. Thank you for the posture check. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. You can have poor writing, but an interesting story. I've read and enjoyed my fair share of trash, lol. I don't know, like, the thing is that I don't think the writing in this is poor. I think Douglas is a competent writer. Again, as I said, it's competently written. It's just the subject matter is definitely very hit or miss for some people. I think, like, I was talking to my friend Axel about it when I was reading it, and Axel was like, I read that it was like book talk, and then I wanted to run for the hills. And I get what they meant, but also I think that it's slightly no. Also, guys, I'm really sorry, but maybe could we try it? I don't mind if people want to speak in other languages in, you know, to an extent, but just maybe keep it mild because my mods can't really moderate it as they all speak English, and I need to be able to make sure none of you are, like, saying questionable things because I do not speak Spanish myself. I think it's okay. I don't want to completely restrict, but try and keep chat relatively English just so my mods can actually know what's going on. Just, you know, please, if that's just helpful on our end. Yeah. But yeah, overall, it depends. Most people I know probably would not enjoy this because I do think this book probably has a bit of a reputation around it of being trashy, but I think we're allowed to enjoy a little bit of trash. I had fun reading it. I read it in a week. I cared about it enough to go on my Twitch channel, which has nothing to do with literature, and force you all to hear me talk about it for over an hour. Practice my English, yeah. They could keep me. I'm sorry, I don't mind if you guys want to, like, greet me in other languages, and things, but I do just... yeah. Hello! Saying hi and things is fine, it's just... yeah. Yeah, that's my thoughts on Punk 50. Oh my god. I don't know. This is, yeah, up to you guys. Once it goes. Sometimes I enjoy it. I like Adam West Batman. Adam West Batman is funny though. I don't think this is a particularly funny book. Yeah. I just said, guys, please speak English, and you're not listening to me, so the mods are gonna do the banhammer. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're saying, yeah. We run a tight ship in these parts. But yeah. That's sort of my conclusion on Punk 57. I think I did enjoy it. I didn't hate it, but I could absolutely see someone reading this and being like, this is the worst book I've ever read. And I would not blame them for that, because there were parts of this book that really did bother me, but I don't know. I felt kind of inspired to read. Thank you for the raid! Hello! How's it going, my dude? Welcome in, welcome in. Hello, Raiders! How was your stream, my dude? What were you doing? What were you playing? Oh my god, Bray, you just missed my book review. This book has porn in it. Yes, please follow Bray, guys. He's a very good friend of mine, even if I make fun of him for being a furry. But hello, guys. If you're new here, my name is Lulu. I am a butcher sheep VTuber. I like spooky things as well as quirky things. We do a lot of different stuff around here. We play a lot of spooky games. I do a lot of yapping. Right now we are yapping about a book I read because I was like, why the hell not? It's my Twitch. I am currently doing my 3.0 donathon. If you would like to contribute, we've got a lot of cool goals, which we have a chat command for on Twitch if you'd like to check those out. I've got lots of cool rewards coming. I think the next one coming up is a not safe for work art piece with a male VTuber friend, which I do have the male VTuber friend in mind. We've already talked about it. I'm not just gonna like force one of my... That would be really, really fucked up if I just like commissioned like porn of me and a friend and was like, oh yeah, I got this for my donathon, and without getting the consent. That would be really fucked up. I haven't done that. We've been talking about it, don't worry. But also I am going to throw in, because it is quite a big jump, if we get another... It's not with you, Bray. If we get another 250, I will post an extract of the written piece that I'm currently working on, which is based on my own series, Wee Wee With It. I am currently doing a prequel, which in some ways, I will admit, it was kind of inspired by Punk 57. Like, I started kind of working on it before, but it was like, I really kind of do want to write, like, something kind of romantic and a little bit trashy. So while Wee Wee With It is a horror series, it's a prequel that's not so spooky. It's a little bit more like... You'll see. Yeah. Drawn in the maid outfit. Can someone please draw Bray in a maid outfit? Oh my god, if we got any artists in chat, please. 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 I need Tuatara in a maid outfit. It'd be so funny. Please not draw that. Boo! Put the maid outfit on, Bray. Please put your persona in a maid outfit. Wait, did they draw what? Anyway, thank you, Bray. If you guys need to go, you're not changing the stream, you've got to go eat, sleep, whatever it may be, you guys can hit off Raiders. But if you'd like to stick around in the butchery, we'd love to have you. Thank you again, Bray. Yeah, we kind of finished talking about this. We might do maybe like a bit of golf or something, but naked. I do need nourishment. Go nourish. Go suck from the teat of... I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I've been talking for like an hour about this like weird book talk book, okay? Anyway, I need to find something else to read. Because I did start the spin-off. I had read like the first chapter of Corrupt and I don't like it. So it's gonna be a bit of a struggle to maybe finish that one. I'll try and find something else. I've got again, I have a list from Ink and Nin that I'm going to read, which will be more genres that I'm keen for. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's a bit different and kind of weird to do like a book rant review just on stream and like, I read this book and now I'm going to talk about it. Yeah. Have any of you been reading, or am I alone in liking books? I think the best smut scenes I've seen the ones which reveal characterizations. It's similar to how great action scenes show off characters. I think that's I agree, yeah. I don't think smut has no place. Absolutely not. I think that's a bit of an unfair thing to say. I read every day. I do not read often enough. I have so many books but have read so little of them. I have a big backlog that I need to get through. Read every day. I got a few books. Ooh! If you have any recs, Maddie, please, because I do think I want to keep going. This was kind of fun. This was fun to just sit here and talk to you guys about something I read. I read a lot of SCP articles and stories, if that counts. No, okay. It's fine. I'm not reviewing SCP though. Movies are a form of media I prefer. That's no problem. If you enjoy, you know, consuming media through movies, I think that's fine. There are fantastic stories in movies. There is no issue with that at all, my friends. Vibe into the music. I'm sorry, guys. I was like, wait a minute, I know this. This is Loser Baby from Hesbin. I was like, I know this. It's just like a lo-fi version. Just like me. Which is a pretty good song. I'm not doing a Hesbin Hotel review. I'm not opening that can of worms. I'm looked at a movie watching 55 movies to watch. You've been talking about how many movies you're trying to get through. Was it 300? How many did you want to watch this year again? You were saying the other stream. I can't remember what the number was. But you had a goal that you wanted to hit. 55 in just like not even 2 months is kind of insane. I have read 2 books and I didn't finish one of them because I might go back and finish the crappy mafia romance that I just started reading on a whim. I'm not going to review it if I do finish it. I don't really care enough. It's not good. I don't really like anything about it, but I don't even know what possessed me to pick it up. I was just like, I'm going to read this. I think someone on Instagram talked about it. I was like, sure, why not? And then yeah. But I did feel compelled to talk about Punk 57. Punk 57 is a pretty cool title. Yeah, so... Again, those are my thoughts, so you can give your own view. Yeah. I do kind of agree about it maybe being a bit fanfiction-y, but I don't know, I feel like calling a book fanfiction-y is a bit like... It's a bit of a hollow criticism. What does that mean? Because fanfiction can be anything. I get what they mean when people say a book feels fanfiction-y, but it's... I feel like we could do better than that. Like, I went into Punk 57 not expecting a literary masterpiece. I went into this expecting, like, this is going to be a kind of trashy romance. And that's exactly what I got. But I didn't hate it. I had fun reading it. You know, when Ryan stopped being annoying. Memory is good, but the words don't flow well and keep the reading experience smooth. I read Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. It's a sci-fi story about everyone being terminally online and addicted to VR. It's a dark comedy and kind of a parody of cyberpunk. The main character is named Hero Protagonist. Oh my god, this is amazing. Though I think it's like, obviously that it's not an idea that's completely original, but that kind of makes me think of, wasn't that like kind of the plot of Ready Player One, that everyone was like in a VR world? I never read Ready Player One or watched the movie because every time I heard about it was basically just like 80s reference, and then in the corner there was an 80s reference, and also he was holding an 80s reference. And like I was like, I don't want to read this. Ready Player One never seemed like something that appealed to me. It just felt like it was just, yeah. Ready Player One was a movie first, then a book, which is unique. No, it wasn't. Mumbo, that's just not true. That's just fully not true. No, because I remember hearing about Ready Player One, like, film. The movie came out in 2018, directed from screenplay and Zach, based on the 2011 novel. No, that's just not true at all, Mumbo. The book came out in 2011, the movie came out in 2018. The same year that Punk 57 was released. So, that's just... Where did you hear that fact? Because that's just not true. And I knew that immediately because I remember hearing about Ready Player One long before the movie was announced, because some guy on YouTube I watched mentioned reading it like years ago, so. That's not true! It was a book first! I mean that there's a lot of generic tropes in fanfiction that are applicable to this book. I haven't read it, so what do I know? Like trashy sex scenes, lyrics written into the page, which I agree with. I don't know, to be fair, like, I'm gonna give it that, well, I honestly skimmed those, like, because I didn't care. I was like, I mean, I get it, Misha's a musician, and they weren't badly written lyrics, but I also was just like, what are you supposed, have you got a character who's a musician? You gotta... Yeah. Huh? I read articles with the movie being in discussion with the book in mind. I guess I worded that wrong. It was a movie concept first. I mean, maybe the author wrote it with the idea of it being made into a movie, but the book came before the book was long. The book came out, was it 7 years before the movie came out? Yeah. Small view of books, but it might be a small view of books, but I think it should be aspire to make a story removed from those type of things. I guess I get that, but also like, I don't know, obviously Penelope Douglas had an idea for writing it. I think the general concept of them being pen pals for years and like the social media age and refusing to talk to each other on social media, I actually thought was really cute. I didn't really talk about that because that part kind of weirdly, even though it is kind of the crux of the book, goes away pretty quickly. Like obviously they don't it's never dropped. I think that would have just been awful. Like they mention the letters, and there is, you know, a bit of backstory about like why Ryan kind of ended up the way she was, and it sort of it didn't have to do with the letters from Misha, but yeah. Maybe it was a book concept first. Hang on, I'm reading the I'm sort of caught up in this thing with Mumbo because I'm confused. He's confused me now. Ready Player One is a 2018, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia. It says Ready Player One is a 2018 American science fiction action film directed by Steven Spielberg from a screenplay by Ernest Cline and Zach Penn, based on Cline's 2011 Ready Player One. So Ernest Cline, who wrote Ready Player One, wrote the screenplay. Spoken word, books. In June 2010, Cline sold his first novel, Ready Player One, a book that takes place in dystopian 2040s. The book was sold in a bidding war. Wow. The film rights were sold the following day. I think that's maybe what you mean, Mumbo. I think the book was going to be made into a movie like when it was like as soon as it was published, basically. I don't know, maybe he wrote them alongside each other? Maybe he wrote like the screenplay and the novel at the same time, because it seems like the book was, they decided it was going to be a movie very early on, like the day it was published. It would be so cute to have a well-written online romance. I've never seen it on, again, this was an offline romance, which I thought was kind of cute. Like, again, it's set in, I assume 2018, the book, it was the year it was published. And I thought that was kind of cute. I liked the fact that they were like, let's not look each other up on social media, and I don't know, I kind of enjoyed that. That was sweet. I don't know, yeah. I wish I had a pen pal, like someone who doesn't know anything about my online life and it's just like someone I talk to. What's this? Because Mumbo's rant about Ready Player One. I'm not reading Ready Player One, guys, but because the book sucks, well, so does the movie. It's so mean-spirited. The main character is very much a gamer, I guess is a nice word. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I've never read I don't think I've read any social media romances. Some people write like fics that are like written to be, but this is like a fan fiction thing, as I said, fics, where it's written like a text exchange. But yeah, I don't know. I think the problem is that a lot of authors are probably quite scared of putting like too many social media elements into a book because they might be worried it's gonna date it a little. But I feel like we're safe enough in the digital age that like if I mention like I write a character and they mention like going on Instagram, I don't think that really is going to date the book. Instagram's been around for years and I don't think it's going away. You might date it a bit if you mention Twitter because that muskrat man renamed it to X for some fucking reason, but Would you read movie novelizations? What the fuck does that, what movie novelization, what does that mean? Like a movie that's been written to be a novel? Maybe? I don't know. Like reverse, like an adaptation but it gets adapted to being a book? Probably not, because it was written with the intention of being a movie first, and like, I don't know. Probably, no, I don't know, that maybe I'm being too small-minded, but I don't like the idea of that. That sounds kind of weird. I think that would be a fun writing exercise, but like that, I would rather like read something by an author that was written with the intention, not like we're gonna capitalize on this movie by turning it into a novel. Which is a very weird, strategy, because I've got to be real, like movie watchers is a lot more like widespread than book readers. Like Heated Rivalry, for like something topical, was a book first, but like it's a lot more famous now that it's become a Netflix series. I feel like if they're like going to turn the Netflix series into a book, people would be like, okay, I would rather just, you know, quick access, you know, everyone wants things faster. There's a very I don't know, I'm thinking of this like a marketing standpoint. I feel like that it feels like a lot of effort for something that I don't honestly think would do that well. What if someone writes a period piece social media romance which takes place specifically in like 2012 or something? See, I think that's interesting because like someone would say that seems really dated, but like that's not fair because like we write about stuff where like they're like we sent telegrams to each other and it's like, oh, this is a classic. I just think it's interesting, yeah. But if I wrote about like two kids having like Tumblrs in like 2012 and that's how they talked and it was very much of its time, it would be a bit like, huh. It just feels like books are in the past and how modern relationships environments can work. I have such a rant about this. Not necessarily that specifically with like social media being brought up in books, but as I said, I did my, I did a creative writing degree at university and we had, like publishers come and talk to us about the publishing process, and I've had like friends who have like tried to get like their web comics published. The big one is my Butcher's blog series. I interviewed Michelle Fuss, the author of my favorite webcomic Ava's Demon. Michelle is lovely, please support them, they're an incredible artist, but I remember them talking about the absolute hell that they went through with getting Ava's Demon published, because even though it was a wildly popular webcomic with beautiful art, a good well-written story and all this stuff, publishers are just so far back that they looked at Ava's Demon, and because it wasn't like exactly like it's written in kind of an unconventional way, they were like, what the fuck is this? Because it's laid out in like what they call like a basically in a, I think Michelle calls it like a storyboard sequence, because it's sort of written rather than being like written as like a comic page spread. Ava's Demon is literally written one panel at a time and it's meant to flow like a storyboard of a film. And when you read it as like a webcomic, but also Michelle did get it published. Finally, Skybound took a chance on Michelle and published it. I own the published version of the first volume of Ava's Demon and it works fine in print form. It's just the publishers were like, what is this? This is weird. Publishers are so far back. That's why so many authors now are like becoming indie authors and usually marketing through things like, you know, TikTok and stuff, because there is just more freedom. Publishers getting published is hell. Getting a literary agent is insane. Yeah. They're not publishing. But the thing is that I find that the things that they think will work is just like 10 years behind where we are. You know what I mean? Like, I still think a lot of publishers do not realize the absolute you know, money grab that it would be picking up like a small amateur indie author off of like, again, one that's promoting on TikTok. I guess maybe they're worried it won't be like perfectly written. I mean, I've talked a little bit about like the whole like Milo Winter thing. I'm not going to talk about that here, but like that's a whole can of worms we're not getting into. You can Google it, but I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Yeah. I wanted to write a book for the longest time, and that was back before like it was easier to market a book. You know, again, like the whole book talk thing, and I just got so jaded because I would start writing and then I'm like, I honestly don't think this will get picked up. And that really like made me feel a bit disheartened. I feel different now because Wither's gonna be a visual novel anyway, so I can just like publish as an indie game. It's fine. It can just go on like itch.io or something whenever we're finished. But yeah, I don't know. I was like, I think Withered is too weird. That was my thoughts about it. To publish a hit for the Zoomers, you've got to get approved by a board of boomers. Exactly, Banjo! Books are a dying art in the modern day, so it's not just publishers. Kids don't read. I know! This is what the thing is. I'm going to talk about this. I got so angry at some of my VTuber friends. I'm calling them out because I was like, I want to do a book club with other VTubers because I think it would be really fun for us all to get on stream with our little VTube models and we pick a book. It could have been Punk 57, but so many of them was like, I'm a VTuber, I don't read or I don't like books. I'm like, bitch, I see you reading your smutty fucking fanfiction AO3. Pick up a book. We just discussed how Punk 57 is basically just an AO3 fanfiction. Why don't you just read this? Just picture Misha as your Oshi or something. I don't fucking know. It annoyed me. I was like, I don't understand why saying you don't read is like considered like cool. It's like, no, shut up. I hate anti-intellectualism. I'm sorry. It's something I am very angry Lulu, angry sheep. Invites push media further. It's hard. You can say that for gaming, but people still buy it. People play video games and watch movies. I wanted to do a book club and I had like one friend who wanted to join. It was just Gigi did. And I can't do a book club with just me and Gigi. I needed like 4 of us. So I need to find other VTubers who read books. VTubers making their way through Punk 57 by imagining Misha as Gargara. No, I said this had a happy ending. Misha doesn't die. Gargara is dead. Oh my god. Gura graduated like a year ago. So no, that doesn't work. You can be a trendsetter. I can't start a series if I don't have anyone to do the series with. And admittedly, I do have a very strict... I don't usually give a shit about, like, people's stage of VTuber. I don't care about numbers. I don't care about, like, any of that stuff for, like, collabs and everything. This, I do have a specific vision. I do want, like, specific... Not specific, I don't have like specific people in mind, but I like have a setup in mind and I need people to fit that, which I feel bad about because I don't like excluding people because I think that's a shitty thing about VTubing, like numbers and shit. Maddie, thank you for the follow. Thank you for becoming livestock. But yeah, I have like certain feelings about how I want to do the VTuber book club, so I need to find people, but I don't know where to find them. I would have joined. Feel my reading is narrow and more sci-fi and horror rather than romance and social books and period pieces. I mean, if you want moms, but I don't know. I'm gonna do some hunting. I think I remember there being a VTuber book club a while ago. There was like one episode that Vivi did, like my oomph, who's the radioactive VTuber. She did one like 2 years ago or something, but they only ever did like 1 episode. Maybe I could like reach out. Want me to ask her? If you want, but like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna do it now. That's the problem. It's like no one was really like enthused to join. I asked a lot of people and most of them were just like, I don't read. Like, and I was like, okay. And I was like, you could start reading. Maybe this could be fun. Maybe you could learn the joy of books. Ah. Anyway, enough about my failed attempt. That's why we're doing this now. I'm gonna do my own. We're gonna do our Lulu's all alone. I'm just reading audiences. I don't necessarily think so. I think I just don't talk to them. I've seen plenty of VTubers who are great writers. There are published writers. VTubers, you'd be surprised. It's a little narrow. I'm gonna push back on that, Maddie. I don't know. I don't like the idea that people have this thing that VTubers are like one particular kind of person. I know VTubers who are professional race car drivers. I know VTubers who are licensed doctors. I know VTubers who are parents. I know VTubers who are teachers. I know VTubers who are professional voice actors. Like, just because someone has an anime puppet, I don't like making a broad term of like, well, obviously that none of them read. I don't think that's very fair. I've seen VTubers who are book readers. I just don't think I found them. Again, I didn't say no one wanted to join. It just was like my friend group was very small, but I don't know. I'm not friends with other writers. What about starting off your VTuber book club on a manga or something anime related to ease them into it? That could work. Potentially. You've got a thing Japan. Honestly, I don't think that many VTubers are like... Oh, well, load them up, but I don't know. I'll try. I don't want to talk about the book club anymore, guys. It kind of made me sad, to be honest. I was like, oh, I was really excited about it. But no one wanted to join, so I was kind of sad. So maybe we should drop this topic. It's hard trying to do collabs with people. I just think my take was narrow. VTubers are some of the most creative people. I know some insanely creative, immensely. I've seen some incredible stuff come out of the VTuber sphere. Roseforge, thank you for the follow. Thank you for becoming livestock. I've seen some insane stuff from VTubers. My Oshi made a fucking movie and it was amazing. It was like a motion comic movie. I've seen people do like full concerts, like full albums. How many freaking albums does Mori Calliope have now? Like, holy crap, like that girl does not sleep. Yeah, some very creative people in the VTuber space. There's also some absolutely horrible people in the VTuber space, but you know. Alright. How can I incentivize you to do more donathon stuff? Because I want to get this, guys. The meter's not gone up in a while, and I can't lie, it's making me kind of nervous. Since you said you were kind of disappointed that Punk 57 wasn't Yuri, is there any Yuri you'd recommend? I don't know any good lesbian books. Does anyone in chat have any to recommend? Maybe I could read the book Heated Rivalry is based on. I haven't watched the show yet. Maybe I should read the book. That's not Yaoi. That's Yaoi, not Yuri, but yeah. This is a fun little rant. I'm wondering, yeah. Hang on, what are we up to now? Lesbian book, they'll burn you at the stake for that. Please tell me that's a joke. I genuinely, please tell me that's a joke. I will not tolerate, like, homophobia in my chat. Please tell me that was meant to be funny. Pluribus is a live-action post-apocalyptic toxic Yuri from the creator of Breaking Bad. Well, yeah, but that's a series. I'm looking for a book. I do need to watch that though. I do want to watch Pluribus. This is a live action post-apocalyptic toxic Yuri from the creator. Oh, I just read that message. I don't know. I never hear anyone talk about like a good lesbian romance. I feel like there's quite a few fantasy ones. Anyway, that's all I've really had to say about Punk 57. It won a Hugo Award. I'm not saying I'm not gonna watch it, it's just I'm looking for specifically books to read at the moment. I'm not saying I do want to watch it. I've heard good things about it. I just, yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm probably gonna go to bed now. I was gonna maybe do a go stream, but I'm now feeling kind of tired. So, yeah. Do we want to say hi to anybody? This is how you lose the time war is a book, homie. What? Banjo, can you English again, please? I'll go see Duke. He's playing Deadlock. Hello, KiwiTuber, because they're the only ones that stream at this time. Let's go see Duke. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with me. Alright, guys. Sorry for the Irish goodbye. I suddenly am feeling very fatigued. But yeah. Alright. Thank you all so much. I will talk to you later. Alright. I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know what we're gonna do yet. It will either be Cult of Lamb or Agree. I haven't decided. Please, by the way, I'm gonna keep pushing the donathon. I'm admittedly getting a little bit nervous because I do really want to like be able to pay my mama, and we haven't seen it. I don't like pressuring people, but that is why we're doing this. I want to be able to have a new wonderful re-debut. So please, if you consider donating, it would mean a lot. I have a lot of cool things planned if we hit these goals. Again, I'm gonna add a little in-between one from if we get the next 250, not quite that much, a little bit less. I will post some very cool writing I've been working on, which I'm not very much someone to share. Go give Duke my love. I'm probably gonna raid and run, so I'm probably gonna say hi, I have to go, because I'm suddenly like really fatigued. I talked a lot, alright, but I will see you all. I love you so much. Alright, bye!